Assalamualaikum. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dan selamat datang. Welcome once again to What's Going On Malaysia. Apa khabar, everyone? I hope you are all well. My name is Harith Iskandar, and once again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Terima kasih kerana bersama saya malam ini. First of all, just want to make sure that you are all clear. Is the visual clear? Is the sound clear? Can you hear me? Please let me know dalam comment section. Ini adalah satu rancangan yang interaktif. This is an interactive show, and I will be taking your comments. Kalau kita tengok kat bawah, the comment there. Good evening, KB Yo. We will be looking at all your comments tonight with my very special guest. So just a reminder, tolong share this streaming post. If you're watching on my Facebook page ataupun on Tun's Facebook page ataupun on my YouTube, please share. And also during the show, memang kena comment. The more comments we have, the more engaging it is and the more exciting it is, because malam ini, I can guarantee you, we are going to have probably one of my most favorite shows I can predict right now. There's not much that kita boleh predict dalam dunia ini, especially what's happening in Malaysia. But tonight, I predict this is going to be a wonderful and amazing and entertaining show. So ingat, share the post and comment, and also let your friends know that you are watching. So dengan tidak membuang masa lagi, I would like to invite onto the broadcast studio my very special guest tonight. Biasanya saya suka bagi sedikit introduction to a guest, but I truly believe kalau there's one person dalam negara kita that does not need any introduction, it is the guest that I have tonight. So ladies and gentlemen, dengan tidak membuang masa lagi, apa kata kita welcome, kita membawa ke studio yang amat bahagia Tun Dr Mahathir Mohamed. Assalamualaikum, Tun.
Waalaikumsalam.
Apa khabar? How are you this evening?
Fine, thank you. Alhamdulillah, I'm okay.
Of course, a happy belated birthday. It was your birthday just a few days ago. And how was your birthday? Did you have a good time? I know kena dekat rumah, but how was the celebration?
Too many cakes to eat. They're all nice cakes and greetings. So I feel fine, because so many friends remember me. So even some foreigners also send some greetings, including the former president of Kazakhstan.
Oh, okay. And do they send greetings? Does the greeting come in terms of macam mana? Is it a WhatsApp? I mean, how does one send a greeting to Tun? Melalui
I think through his embassy here.
Of course, fantastic. And how is Tun Dr Siti Hasmah? Is she well?
She celebrated her birthday on the 12th, 2 days after my birthday. So she's now 95. I am 96.
You know, sometimes to tell you the truth, bila kita dengar umur and you say it yourself, it's sometimes unbelievable. And I know you get asked this a million times. But what is the secret? Seriously, before we get into the more hot topics, what is the secret to both you and Dr. Sitasmal? Really, I want to know.
Well, we've been married now 60 over years, and I think we tolerate each other. That's how we get along with each other. But at the same time, of course, we are not given to excessive things, doing things too much. We eat, for example, not too much, enough to sustain ourselves. And we do some little exercise, walking, and things like that. So I think that was enough to keep me fairly healthy. Fortunately, if you don't get one of these diseases like cancer and things like that, you're quite okay, and you can, well, have a fairly long life. But of course, I had a heart problem. I have been operated on for 2 times, open heart surgery. I survived, but otherwise, I'm okay.
But I mean, yes, bless you and bless your health and all. It must amazing. But you, out of anybody else, most other people have had potentially one of the most stressful lives long term. Like you climbed your way up to become a prime minister, and then came back again as prime minister. So you bukan sebarang 96-year old who's just had a normal pergi exercise, bangun pagi, baca buku. You have had incredible stress, I'm sure. I don't know. Do you get stressed? Do you?
No, I do. But of course, I have learned to tolerate things. If I can change, I change. But if I cannot change things, I accept as they are, as they come. That's all right with me.
Okay.
Many things, of course, cause a lot of problems for me, but I have fortunately been able to concentrate on what I can do and not what I cannot do.
Okay, that is an interesting point of view. Saya janji, I hope not to put too much stress on you tonight, because I have to be honest, Tun. When I announced that you are going to be on my show as a guest, there were many different reactions from my followers, the people who watch the show. Ada yang suka dan ada yang tak suka, which I'm sure you are most used to after your entire life having spent in the let let us say turbulent world of Malaysian politics. Tapi
Mm.
saya yang stres pula. Ya, Masya Allah, nak tanya dia ni ke macam mana? Like my friends were like, kenapa? I gonna ask him this, I gonna ask him that. So if you may grant me the permission, let us get straight into it. First of all, congratulations, Pejuang. Finally, it's been allowed to register ataupun dah register? What is the current status at the moment?
It has been registered. I
It has.
received letters from both the Registrar of Societies, Ross, and also from the Minister. They approve and they signed the letter. So I don't think it is any trick there because it's quite genuine. So we accept on the 8th, our party was registered.
Okay, I'm going to put this straight out at you because this is a question that I was asking in my mind. Is it a coincidence that because recently the current premiership, Tan Sri Muhyiddin, seems to be a little bit shaky? Is it any coincidence that because of this shakiness, tiba-tiba Pejuang was allowed to register and being given the permission? Because baru-baru ni 2-3 hari lepas came out this statement that you are going to be given a position in Perikatan, and then I saw well, I don't know whether it's confirmed, a statement from Pejuang saying no, this is not true. So in your own words too, Tun, okay, what cerita lah, pendengar, the viewers want to know, is it a coincidence, wing ke macam?
Frankly, I didn't expect to have the party registered. But then suddenly we were told, while I was still on TV, we were told that the party has been registered. And then shortly after that, there was a request for the Minister of Finance to see me because, as you know, the government has set up a similar organization that I have been suggesting. I had suggested setting up a Majlis Pemulihan Negara, and
Yes.
the government also has got a plan for Pemulihan Negara. Same term was used, and then the news came that the chairman of this government organization was is Tunku Zafrul, the Minister of Finance. And then I received a call saying that he would like to see me.
Oh,
I
okay.
suppose, yeah, he wants to know what was I thinking about when I started this idea that we should set up a Majlis Pemulihan Negara. Now that they have the same kind of majlis, I think they want to know uh, what I plan to do, and they requested to see me. I agreed. I agreed that he should see me, and sure enough, he was asking about how I plan to implement or to do something about the rising numbers of new cases. So he
Can I
came to the house.
can I
Yeah.
ask what you told him, or bila dia tanya ni, can I ask what was your answer? Kalau dia tanya, what was your plan? What did you tell him?
Well, I I'm concerned about what's happening to people. If I have anything that can help, I wouldn't want to keep it to myself. I want to somebody. If I can't do it, at least somebody will do it. So I answered a lot of questions as to how to handle the SOP, for example, and also the vaccine. So whatever he asked me, I answered truthfully as to what are my ideas. So now he has listened to me and he has jotted it down in his notebook. I hope he will carry out some of my ideas.
Uh, I'm sure nobody is listening to him, but did he offer you any particular position within this Majlis Pemulihan? His Majlis Pemulihan?
No, no, he gave me a Quran for as a gift. Very nice gift. Yeah,
Uh,
that's all. But
uh,
no invitation to join. Only asking me what I would do, and I suppose yeah, he wants to do the thing without me at all.
okay, okay. Let's go straight into it. Um, the country is angry. Kalau kita tengok social media and I go out and talk to people, I get the sense that people are upset, people are angry. Nampaknya macam things are getting worse. Padahal we thought they're going to be getting better. And everyone says there's too much politicking. Everyone says kenapa politicking ni waktu negara ini tengah menderita and people are waving the white flag. Okay, let me just ask you this. Your opinion bila Tun dengar pasal bendera putih, pasal bendera putih movement, what was your initial reaction to this? Can I know?
I'm very concerned about the sufferings of the people. I'm not interested in the political aspect. I'm not trying to become prime minister. In fact, I feel that there's too much politics involved. They're not trying to solve the problem of the people. I am only interested in trying to do something for the people because people are really very suffering very much and they are very angry. Justifiably, it's justified that they should feel angry about this thing because the numbers of new cases keep on increasing. Initially, we did quite well, but then you have this Sabah election. The figure shot up to 2,000. And then you declare a state of emergency. The figure shot up to 9,000. And now you launch a new plan. And the figure has now gone to 11,000. Obviously, they have some idea about the plan, but how to execute, that is a problem. If you don't know how to execute a plan, you don't get results. So you need to know how to do things.
Okay, I agree with you totally 100%. Tapi Tun, let me be honest with you. Bila a seasoned politician like yourself even sincerely says, I don't want to do the politics. I'm interested in the people. The problem is Malaysians, kita dah dengar ni banyak kali. And that's why I'm just speaking on behalf of myself and a few of my friends. Macam Yeah, I know. At the end of the day, it is about the people. I totally agree with you. It is about the people. Tapi you kata tadi that they are not getting the execution right. So
Yeah.
how come these very learned people, and I'm not going to put any politician down here, everyone gets to a certain position with having to be certain smartness. How come they're not getting the execution right, in your opinion, lah?
There's too much, too many politicians are involved. We see this minister saying this, another minister saying something else, and between them there is no coordination. And they are not people who are familiar with dealing with health problem like this. At the same time, they are really not familiar with dealing with the crisis, because this crisis is a very serious crisis. It affects also the economy, the social life of the people. So to tackle a crisis like this, you need some experience. And see,
Tapi
I'm not, yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, you need to have experience. But this government is made up of people who have no experience in government, ordinary government, certainly no experience about dealing with a crisis.
Tapi Tun, aren't many members of the current government those who were with the not just the previous government but the previous government yang memang dah were at least around for at least 12 years. When you say they don't have experience, uh, some of them seem to have been around for quite a while. How come, why are they lacking the ones who are there who've been sejak UMNO days, sejak your days, in fact, the
The
first round?
problem is that they are focused on the politics, focus about who is going to be the prime minister, who is going to get a vote of non-confidence, and things like that. They're not focusing on the sufferings of the people. And because they don't focus and they don't try to get uh, good advice from professionals, then they don't come up with solution. That is their problem.
Okay. You said just now too much politicking. Tapi at the same time, we have just been talking about your new party, Pejuang, and you are now throwing a new party into the mix, so to speak. How can Pejuang be different, and how can it help, or how will it be the same, and how can it help? Because at the end of the day, myself, I'm interested in whatever works to help the people, to help the country.
Yeah, Pejuang is a political party. One day we are going to have an election, and of course, at that time, Pejuang would contest. But what is important now is that we are already registered. So that is one of the major issues that we have solved. But at this moment, we are not concentrating on Pejuang. I'm not doing anything about Pejuang. We are not trying to become prime minister or even overthrow the government. All
Then,
we are asking for is for the government to set up this body like the one that was set up in 1969 by the Tunku when he appointed Tun as chairman of an organization called NOC or Mageran, and it was Razak who solved the problem. He was given full authority. But what we want to see is that we want to be able to concentrate on solving the problem without the play on politics. Politics is not what. In fact, if I am involved in involved in any way, I would resign from Pejuang.
uh, okay. Could you explain that, please? What do you mean if you were involved in any way, you would resign from Pejuang?
I would like to give my full effort to solving this COVID problem in particular, full time. I don't have to be in Pejuang even. Pejuang will carry on, but I would like to concentrate on this. As far as the struggle by Pejuang is concerned, that is already set, that is already put in place. And all we have to do is to ensure that the objectives of Pejuang are carried out by the members.
Okay, I'm going to jump straight into it because I'm going to play just this clip that when you announce that Pejuang had been registered. We're just going to bear with me for a moment. We'll just play the clip and just.
Dan kesyukuran kita semua kerana parti kita sudah pun didaftar. Parti kita ialah parti Melayu. Tak semacam yang lain. Kita dengan ikhlas, dengan jelas mengaku bahawa kita parti Melayu. Parti Bumi Putra dan Melayu. Dan kita sedar sebabnya yang kita tubuh parti Melayu ialah oleh kerana negara kita ini asalnya negara Melayu. Kita rela berkongsi dengan orang lain. Tetapi tidaklah sehingga perkongsian itu menghasilkan kita menjadi yang termiskin, yang terendah, yang dihina di dalam negara kita. Hari ini kita lihat orang Melayu sudah berpecah sehingga mereka hilang kuasa. Kenapa? Kerana tamak. Masing-masing nak dapat tempat, nak pegang jawatan, bukan kerana nak berkhidmat untuk bangsa, untuk negara, untuk agama, tetapi kerana nampak boleh dapat duit pulangan yang lumayan. Orang Melayu yang menubuh parti bukan kerana nak berkhidmat untuk negara, tetapi kerana nak pegang jawatan tertinggi. Ada yang nak jadi Perdana Menteri, ada yang nak jadi Menteri, Timbalan Menteri dan bermacam-macam lagi. Itu yang mendorong mereka. Dan parti-parti yang ditubuh oleh mereka juga demikian.
Okay, so Tun, you gave that statement 1 or 2 days ago?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to ask you a couple of things. So, bila Tun kata bahawa Melayu dah hilang kuasa, a lot of my non-Malay friends were asking me, can you ask Tun what he means by that? Because as far as they're concerned, the Malays memang dulu berkuasa, masih berkuasa dan akan berkuasa. So they don't understand what you mean when you say Melayu dah hilang kuasa. Perhaps you can explain in your own words.
Ya, saya dapati dalam pilihan raya umpamanya yang bertanding di kawasan Melayu adalah orang Melayu. Kawasan Melayu tak ada pertandingan, walaupun kita bagi kepada UMNO, biasa bagi kepada calon MCA di kawasan Melayu. Tetapi normally kawasan Melayu ditandingi oleh Melayu. Dua parti, 3 parti, PAS ke, UMNO ke, mereka semua Melayu. Tetapi yang akan menentukan siapa menang bukan lagi orang Melayu. Ini terjadi kepada saya. Saya bertanding dalam kawasan Melayu pada tahun 1969. Pada masa itu kawasan itu mempunyai 35,000 pengundi. Dan yang bertanding di situ ialah saya dengan PAS, calon PAS. Sepatutnya saya menang kerana orang Melayu sokong saya. Tapi orang Melayu di situ bahagi dua. Separuh kepada PAS, separuh kepada saya. Tapi yang menentukan siapa menang ialah orang Cina. Pasal orang Cina pada masa itu tak suka kepada saya, mereka bagi undi kepada PAS. Jadi bukan orang Melayu yang menentukan siapa jadi wakil. Sebab orang Melayu berkelahi sama-sama Melayu. Itulah jadi orang lain yang menentukan. Dan dalam pilihan raya akan datang pun macam itu juga. Kerana orang Melayu lawan sama Melayu, orang Cina, orang India yang menentukan siapa yang akan menang.
Okay, so if I may, I tell you what I'm hearing. So maksud Tun adalah bukan yang berkuasa iaitu yang menjadi menteri ke yang, tapi rakyat So merakyat akan berkuasa dan in your words, oleh kerana kaum Melayu dah berpecah, maksudnya kaum-kaum lain yang akan menentukan siapa yang menang ataupun siapa yang kalah. Would that be a correct interpretation?
Yes.
Okay. I will be honest with you. This whole conversation of Melayu, China, India. Tun, I grew up in the 70s. Waktu saya membesar, saya mengaku I didn't have that feeling of the whole split Melayu, India, China. Although it did exist, I was not blind. Saya tahu memang it existed. But I feel that the divide right now, especially in the last 15 years, memang dah lebih. There seems to be more focus on Melayu, China, India. When I was a kid, this is a true story. I like to tell the story. Kawan-kawan terbaik saya, Kenny Chong, China, Panir Silvam, India, Don Dave Benjamin Serani. And we just played together, main bola together, main band together, main lagu Deep Purple together. And we didn't think, kita Melayu, China, India dan lain-lain. It's only today when I look back, agak berbeza, agak pelik. But the divide is here. So the fact that we are still living in this country where, okay, I'm going to jump straight to the question. Will racial politics ever not exist in Malaysia, or is it part of our DNA?
For a long time, there will be racial politics. Whether you like it or not, the electorate, the majority of the voters are Malays, and they determine. And if you put somebody who is not a Malay, you are not going to win. You're not going to win. Unless, of course, the party especially pick on a non-Malay for a Malay constituency. Because some non-Malays cannot win if they are in the opposition. So to be in the government, they have to have Malay support. So the Malays accept that we have to work with non-Malays, because this country cannot have a 100% Malay government. We must have non-Malays. We work with them, but of course we want our share. That is the important thing. You like it or not, if you're not a Malay, you go and stand in the kampung, you are going to lose. And on the other hand, if you are a Malay and you contest in the town where the majority of the voters were Chinese, you will lose. So the fact of race is still down there. And if you don't respect their feeling, you will lose.
Okay, Tun, I understand your sentiment here. I understand exactly where you're coming from. Tapi my concern is that lepas dah berapa tahun kita independent since 1957, 60 something years, that we are still have a situation di mana society kita, di mana bangsa kita still memandang, without a doubt, I agree with you, that the race is important, bukan kebolehan ataupun the smart, the how smart the person is or how capable the person is doing the job, asalkan dia. And let's face it, the non-Malays will feel the same. We need to have a non-Malay. Tapi will our country ever reach a stage where meritocracy, where kita memilih seseorang yang berkebolehan, the best person for the job, bukan just because he's this race? Will we ever get there?
There are many countries which are multiracial, but they only have one nationality. Everybody is a citizen of that country and does not identify himself with his country of origin. I like to point out, for example, Eisenhower is a German, but he's an American. He's prepared to fight against a German because to him, my nationality is American. But in Malaysia, of course, we still do not want to have a single identity. There is no national identity.
But why do we still not want to have a national identity?
Yeah, we want to retain our origins. We want to retain our relation with the countries where our grandparents come. We have to have schools using our original language, not a national language. We still at home do not speak the national language. We speak the language of our race, and therefore we are perpetuating the race. If we are like in Indonesia, for example, there are a lot of Chinese, more Chinese there than there are Indonesian, but they are all Indonesian. They speak Bahasa Indonesia. Of course, they still retain their religion and all that, but they speak Bahasa Indonesia. And in Philippines, for example, Cory Aquino is Chinese, but he's not known as a Filipino Chinese Filipino. She's known as a Filipino. In Thailand, Chuan Lik Pai, Thaksin Shinawatra are pure Chinese, but they speak all the time in Thai, and they call by their Thai name. They call themselves by their Thai name. Jadi, but in Malaysia, uh, we want to perpetuate the language of our original country. We want to have our own school. We don't want to be, even when I propose uh, a kind of sekolah wawasan, where all the three schools are in one campus, that also was rejected. They don't want to be together. So we want to retain our identity, our original kinship or relationship with our countries of origin. But if you are Malaysian, you have to be just Malaysian, and you have to speak Bahasa Malaysia and regard that as your mother tongue. You may have some command of your original language, but in Malaysia, we retain our original language. We speak in so much so that when we meet together, we can't speak our own language. You see, we don't understand when somebody decides to speak in Chinese or in Tamil. So that is why in Malaysia, race remains uh, a, a barrier of us getting together. We are still concerned about where we came from.
Okay, Tun, I do understand what you're saying, and I'm hearing you, and you keep using the term we don't want this, we don't want that. Bagi saya lah, this is just my personal opinion among the people I know and my friends. A lot of, I would say, I want to have this Malaysia race, and yes, I agree. Patutnya kita boleh bercakap dalam bahasa kebangsaan, all of us. But at the same time, I think Malaysia is in a very unique position where we can have the four races that we, or the multitude of 28 races that we do have, and still have a Bangsa Malaysia. That's my personal wish lah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I find that when I say politicians, I'm not talking purely about you. I'm talking about all politicians. It is politicians, and everybody says political parties are the ones yang instigate, or the race-based, because we have race-based party, we have race-based policies, we have, everything is race-based. So as far as the public is concerned, orang biasa, or is the politicians that is making it race-based. I'm not saying that all public say that, but there are a lot of public that say that, and memang betul ada juga public yang pegang ketat kepada keturunan mereka sendiri and only speak their own language. Yes, that bigotry that happens in all races. But I guess I wish things would change, because you know what, Tun, this pandemic has shown me one thing. Ingat tak March 2020 when it first happened, the entire country for 1 month tak cakap pasal politics. There was no politician making statement, and everybody was focused on the one common enemy, iaitu COVID-19. And I remember that month, I rasa, wow, Malaysia is one. We are truly one person. We are one country. But that didn't last for long lah. But but right now we are dealing with COVID. We are dealing with COVID. We're dealing with death. We're dealing with pain, and then we're dealing with politics as well. So I have asked a lot of people to ask questions of you. And do you mind if you take a couple of questions from my audience? Boleh?
Welcome. You're
They
welcome.
sent videos. I'm going to play you a video now. This is from a gentleman called Menon. He's got a past, present, and future question. So we're just going to play Menon's question here. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Let's play Menon's
Hi,
question.
Tun Mahathir, Harith, how are you guys doing? My name is Dave Menon. My kampung is Kluang Johor, but I currently live in Petaling Jaya, Selangor. I've got three very short questions for Tun Mahathir in regards to the past, present, and future. Firstly, the past. Was Vision 2020 up to your expectations? Secondly, the present. You're going to be a centurion soon. Is COVID-19 today the worst thing that you have seen in your entire life? And thirdly, the future. PM Muhyiddin Yassin recently approved Pejuang's registration. What is going to happen next? What is the percaturan? Thank you, Tun Mahathir, for answering the questions. Stay safe. Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Okay. So deal with each question first. The past was 2020. Did it turn out the way you envisioned?
No, only partly. A little bit of success here and there, but generally we have not been able to become a developed country as a, as a, as a target for Vision 2020.
Yeah, I think that question is self-answered because I grew up with your Vision 2020. We were meant to be a developed nation by then. Tapi sekarang dah 2021 and enough said about that lah. Question number two, you're going to be a centurion soon. Is COVID-19 in your lifetime the worst moment faced by Malaysia, by yourself?
Yes, it is, because this is a health problem and it prevents people from living a normal life. They cannot be normal because they cannot be close to each other. They cannot work together. They cannot play together. They cannot have the usual community relationship, not even with their close friends or relative. So this impose a lot of strains on the economy, on social life, etc. So until we can resolve this COVID pandemic, we are not going to be able to solve the economic problem and the social problem.
Okay, fair enough, and you're absolutely correct. The thing with COVID is health and semua. It's everyone. Tak kira status, bangsa, gaji, umur. Everyone is at risk. And of course, the final question, now that Pejuang has been approved, what next? You touched on that a little bit earlier. Maybe you might want to elaborate. What's next for Pejuang?
Pejuang is a political party. Normally, we will contest in election. We have a certain stand which differs from others. Our members must focus not on themselves, but on the nation. We want to remove all these bad practices like corruption and all that. And a Pejuang member must accept that he will not join Pejuang because he wants to be a candidate or for election or to become anything. Even if somebody else is appointed, he must support, because we want Pejuang to win. Not only the candidate to win, but we want the Pejuang to win, because otherwise we cannot have any influence over the nation. The nation has been, practically destroyed in many ways. We had to restore the nation as it was before, when we were growing much faster than most other developing countries. So that was the objective of Pejuang, not personal. It is entirely for the nation, for the nation, for the race and all that, and also for the religion of the Malays.
Tun, you're 96 and you're talking about Pejuang macam is your first political party. Tak penat ke? I'm I'm tired just imagining what you have to go through with Pejuang. Why are you doing this? Can I just want to know personally, what is driving you?
Very simple. I am a Malay. I love my own people, and I love this country. What I do for this country is nothing, not a burden on me. To see any project that I launch taking shape is what gives me satisfaction, not what I get. I don't need money. I have enough food to eat. I have the government gives me everything, transport, airplane, and all that. That is not what I'm going for. I just want to see this country do as well as all the developing countries, all the developed countries. I see we can, but of course, politics has gone in the way.
Well, we were there. We were there, Tun. We were almost there. We were almost there. I grew up when Malaysia was known as the Malaysian tiger, the tiger of Asia. And now, due to whatever reasons, let's say politics, we are here where we are. Um, can you say that? I mean, here's another question. Here's another question that a lot of people placed hope in Pakatan when you won in 2018, and then a lot of people tanya kenapa you resign. In fact, we have a question here from Tun Vashni. Let's just play Vashni's question. Let her ask that question.
Hi Tun, I'm Vaishni here. With all the due respect, I'll just have this one question that has been bugging me from the time you decided to resign from the cabinet. Uh, I would really like to know, why did you choose to make such a decision when the Rakyat has voted for the opposition and we had so much of trust in you as our prime minister, but the one decision that you took, I believe it has led to the current political situation that we are facing right now. So it will be really good if you can clear this question or my curiousness. Thank you so much.
I resigned twice. The first time I resigned, it was my own choice. I didn't even tell my wife that I was going to resign. I thought I had served the country for 22 years, and that was long enough. I wanted to give younger people a chance to become prime minister. That was a decision made by me. It has nothing to do with other people. But in the second resignation was forced upon me. My party rejected me, and not only rejected me, but my party rejected the governing party, Pakatan Harapan. So if they reject Pakatan Harapan, they withdraw support, Pakatan Harapan would collapse. And if Pakatan Harapan collapse, I cannot remain the prime minister. I cannot remain the prime minister, though I was offered to be prime minister of a new coalition. This new coalition is made up of crooks, of people whom we defeated. How can I work with them? I cannot work with them. So when my party rejected me, I felt that I have lost the confidence of my party. So I had to resign from being chairman. But at the same time, Pakatan Harapan has lost its majority, and Pakatan Harapan would no longer be the government. How could I remain a prime minister when the Pakatan Harapan has lost? I am, I was prime minister for Pakatan Harapan because Pakatan Harapan had the majority. But now that Pakatan Harapan has no majority, how could you expect me to remain as prime minister? So I had to resign because my own party is the cause of Pakatan Harapan losing its majority.
If
But
I
for
may
me to go in, yeah,
go, carry on, Tun.
for me to join the other coalition. Sorry, I don't renege on my promise to the electorate. When I campaigned with the electorate, I rejected this Najib's party. But now you're asking me to join and be prime minister of that party. Sorry, I am not that kind. I made a promise, I stick with my promise. So because of that, I couldn't become prime minister of another coalition. So I resigned from being prime minister because my party has rejected the Pakatan Harapan, and Pakatan Harapan, because of that, loses its position as the government. If it's not the government, how could I be prime minister?
Uh, I'm hearing what you're saying. I don't think the public, many of the public have not heard this. When you say your party rejected you, why and who? Who rejected you, and how did it come to that point?
Yeah. The thing is, certain members of my party were planning to bring down Pakatan Harapan because they say Pakatan Harapan is controlled by the DAP. But when we had a meeting of the Presidential Council of Pakatan Harapan, they expressed full support for me. So I told my party that since Pakatan Harapan expresses full support for me, I cannot take Bersatu out of Pakatan Harapan. I said, let's give ourselves time. I told the Supreme Council of Bersatu, give yourself time. If they really renege on their promises, then we take action. Then we can leave. But at that moment, Pakatan Harapan accepted me and gave me every right to step down whenever I wish. This is the decision made by the Presidential Council of Pakatan Harapan. But when I advised my party that we should delay making any decision, majority of the members of the party rejected my advice and decided to leave Pakatan Harapan immediately. And they even expressed support for Muhyiddin. So that means they don't have any confidence in me. So if they don't have confidence in me, I cannot be their chairman. I have to resign. But at the same time, I knew that Pakatan Harapan is going to lose because Azmin and Bersatu joined together to reduce the majority by the Pakatan Harapan. So Pakatan Harapan lost its position as the government. If the Pakatan Harapan is not the government and I am the Prime Minister for Pakatan Harapan, how could I stay on as Prime Minister? My party has lost. You see, but people keep on saying that I make a decision to resign. I don't make a decision to resign. I was forced to resign because my own party, as a result of the action taken by Bersatu and Azmin, my own party, the coalition, Pakatan Harapan lost its position as the government. So if Pakatan Harapan is not the government, I'm going to be the Prime Minister of what? I can't be Prime Minister of the other party.
Okay, thank you so much, Tun. I think that that really confuses me actually. I thought joining politics, tapi lepas Tun describe what's happening, I think tak payahlah, tak payah. It seems like, my goodness. We were talking about pressure early on. That time, this is the pre-Sheraton Move time. Did that really? I mean, how would that affect you mentally and physically as well? I don't know. I'm just wondering.
Members of my party were plotting, and they ended up with the Sheraton Move, where Bersatu, together with PAS and UMNO, decided that they will form a new government, the so-called Malay Muslim government. I wasn't there. I didn't approve of it. For me, I have made my stand known to the public. They supported me. I cannot renege on my promise to the public. So I refuse to be associated with this so-called Malay Muslim government. This Malay Muslim government was invented by Najib, because Najib, when he realized he lost, he decided to work with his opponent, PAS, to form a Malay Muslim government, but could not get enough Malay support. So he decided that they should get some of Bersatu Malays to join them. So if Bersatu Malays join them, they may get a majority. But in fact, Bersatu Malays were not too many, because out of 12 members of parliament, only 6 decided to go with Najib. 6 others refused to go. So 6 is not enough to bring down the government. But when they add up to the UMNO people who joined Bersatu, and also Azmin's faction from PKR, then they had the majority to bring down the Pakatan Harapan government. So the Pakatan Harapan government could not continue to be the government because it has lost the majority. It is a very simple thing. I don't know why people blame me. The first time, yes, I decided to step down because I thought I had been there too long. But the second time is not because I want to resign from Pakatan Harapan. I wanted to resign only from Bersatu as chairman of Bersatu.
Okay. I think, if anything, that clears the air, at least for me, and I hope for the lady who had asked.
Can I add?
Boleh, add
You see,
more.
when I resigned, the king decided that he wants to know what is the stand of all the members of parliament. So they were asked to sign a statutory declaration in front of the king. Now that statutory declaration should name the candidate that they support. So I assume that although I have left Bersatu, but I am still supportive of Pakatan Harapan. And Pakatan Harapan was at that time made up of DAP, Amanah, and PKR, Keadilan. Between them, they have 92 votes. And I got 62 votes from others. But that 92 votes, instead of giving to me, they decided to give to Anwar. So he got 92, I got 62. Because I don't get Pakatan Harapan's vote. That was due to Anwar saying that he has the majority. You know Anwar, he always has the majority. But Pakatan Harapan gave him 92 votes. I got from other sources 62. Now, supposing I had been given the 92 votes from Pakatan Harapan, I would have 154. Then I would have been Prime Minister.
Okay. You've brought up his name, Anwar. A lot of viewers sent in videos, which I don't think we have time to play. Yang tanya, kenapa you didn't pass on the baton, so to speak, to Anwar? The perception is that it was promised, and therefore it looked like you were stalling, ataupun you were, kept pushing back the time. I know this is cerita lama and whatever, but yeah, I'd like to know as well.
Well, I made a promise that I will serve only for a short time, for a certain time, to take care of the problems. After that, I would resign and he would take over. But in this case, I did not resign because according to my promise, I had no choice but to resign because Pakatan Harapan has lost the position as government. So after I resign, he cannot take over because Pakatan Harapan is no longer the government. How can he? In fact, they tried, but they lost. They tried to give him. I resigned because of different reason, not because of my promise before. I resigned because Pakatan Harapan was had lost its place as the government. Since Pakatan Harapan is not the government, how can I hand over to Anwar?
Yes, of course, that makes sense. Can I just ask one question? Waktu tu, this is we're talking about February, kan? Late February or middle February, late February, and COVID dah mula in Wuhan in November, late November. At that time, because okay, let me lay out the picture. The perception is from the people. Oh, perception. Tun resigned, but now we know that you were forced out. This government, which they call the backdoor government, got in, and then poof, COVID-19 hit, and now 1.5 years later, we are here where we are. It all started then. At that time, I just want to know, in the government, especially the Kementerian Kesihatan and whatever, did you know how serious this might become one day in February at that time when all this politicking is going on? Was there anybody in the back rooms yang kata, hey guys, this Wuhan thing is gonna take over the world. We need to keep an eye on it. Because the reason I'm asking is because I'm wondering if all that February Sheraton Move did not happen, would we be in a different position today? Did you know how serious this was going to be at that time in February?
Well, at that time, I knew it was serious because as a trained doctor, I know that a pandemic caused by virus will take at least 18 months for them to develop vaccine because vaccines have got to be tested. So I thought that during that period, we could manage to keep within reasonable numbers. But unfortunately, I was out of the government. I had no say. I cannot even say anything. If I say anything, it is blacked out. So the government mishandled the thing very badly. The one thing that they did badly was to decide to have the election in Sabah. There was no necessity for the election, no necessity at all. But they paid money to to bribe people to cross over. That is where the problem arises. Otherwise, the numbers was quite small. But when they had the election, the figure shot up from hundreds to 2,000. Because when you have election, people meet together, they attend rallies and things like that. And that is when the virus is transmitted. So they shouldn't have had that. So it is serious. I understand COVID, this virus pandemic is serious, but there are ways to manage it, especially at the initial stages.
Yeah, I think we sometimes forget that you are a doctor, and what you just said is memang coming from the point of view ya kita lupa kan. Hey, dia doktor lah sepatutnya, and you are right. Viruses take 18 months, if not longer, to find vaccines, etc., etc. Speaking of which, let's come back to the current now. We are in a darurat, or we're coming to the end of a darurat. You were around during the first darurat in 1969. I was very young at the time, but this darurat didn't seem like a darurat to me. I boleh keluar, traffic jam kat Federal Highway ada lagi. There's no police outside with a gun pushing or army pushing me back into my house. And the numbers went up during the darurat. So as not just as a doctor, but as a politician and someone who knows what a darurat was. What is this darurat about? Really, what is it? What is it about?
Well, it has nothing to do initially with COVID. At that time, the COVID cases was about 2,000. That was still manageable. But the first time the Prime Minister asked for the darurat, it was rejected. The second time, it was approved. But approved because of the threat from COVID. But COVID threat at that time was still manageable. But when they have the darurat, they were already talking about no parliament, no following the laws, even the constitution can be ignored. The prime minister has full power to make laws. He can do anything, all that kinds of thing. It seems to me that the rule is in order to give the prime minister extra powers, because he felt he was threatened that he may lose out if parliament were to sit. He might have no majority. So the Darurat is actually meant to stop parliament from sitting, and also to give extra powers to the prime minister. With regard to COVID, anything that he does could have been done without Darurat. The actions taken, like SOP, we can do that without Darurat. In fact, the first SOP, no Darurat. We were able to keep the numbers very low. But when they have the Darurat, they don't seem to know to focus on the COVID thing. They are focusing only on the political thing, that the prime minister must be sustained. That's all. You see, so because of that, they allowed the very sloppy SOP to be sustained. And I say sloppy because actually, although the SOP was good, but the actual practice was not good. People don't actually follow the instructions with regard to uh, being separated. They say separated by 1 meter. That is not enough, and there are many wrong things that were done. Sometimes shops were open, sometimes shops were closed. All kinds of things were done, which were done without due thinking as to the effect of this instruction that they have given.
Yeah, and I can tell you that the effects, especially of young MCO, and the latest one, what they call 3.0, it has taken a huge toll on a lot of Malaysians. I myself, my NGO, the whole branch, we are constantly out there because selain daripada bendera putih, the people who have had jobs have lost their jobs and really struggling. Tun, I know you promised us an hour. We are up to an hour. Are you okay with going another 10 minutes or so? I just need to check with you. Ada
Carry on.
meeting ke boleh? I'd like to
Yes.
take a couple more questions. Thank you so much, Tun. I appreciate that. We've got one from Esther right at the bottom there. Would just play Esther's question and
Hello
we'll.
everyone, I'm Esther. I'm a Malaysian and I'm from PJ. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Thun for your great contribution towards our country. I'm here having few questions for Thun. Thun, if you were given a chance to choose the next Prime Minister of Malaysia, who would that be and why? My next question is, since you resigned from being a Prime Minister, will you still choose to stand in the next general election? If yes, why? My third question is, if you choose to stand in the next general election, do you think that the public will still trust and support you? If yes, what makes you to say so? Thank you, Thun. Thank you, Harsh Iskandar. Have a nice day. Take care and stay safe.
Okay, so soalan cepu mas. If you had the power to choose the next prime minister, who would you choose?
Hmm. There are 3 or 4 candidates,
Oh, yeah,
maybe more. There are 3 or 4 candidates, maybe more.
throw the names. Come, let's hear them. Let's hear them.
No,
I
no,
don't have three or four
well,
candidates.
a lot of people saw that I was supposed to be friendly with Azmin. That is one of the candidates. I also feel that there are others who are not prominent politicians.
Hmm.
They are outside the usual group of politicians that we have. People who are new, completely new, and among them we find a number of people who now have shown interest in politics. I cannot name them because it may give them a little bit of then a bit of imbalance.
Alah, tu.
But some people actually
Name lah. Bagi initial. Bagi like initial. HI ke apa ke.
no, some people name Mukris, my
Oh,
son. Ada juga bukan
mesti.
tak ada, but they are all there. I don't believe in singling out anyone. They
Okay.
have to fight their own battles.
Jumping on to her second question, are you considering running the third time?
Well, when I was 93, yes, but now I'm 96. I'm 96. At that time, I thought I would stay on for a short while if I am chosen. But now I am 96. I don't think I should be in the way of a lot of other people.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I will,
Sorry, go in.
I will work hard for whichever candidate that Pejuang puts up.
Okay. I saw the way you slipped that in, whichever candidate that Pejuang puts up. We caught that, Tun. Very smart move right there. We'll take one more question from Rao up there, which is this guy's question, Rao. Final question from the audience. We'll just play that. Okay.
Hi, Masari. My name is Rama from Batua. I would like to ask this question to Tun. Why we still need a racial-based political party in Malaysia? Is it still relevant for current situation? Thank you.
Itu dia. You kind of touched on that question earlier on. Would you like to add on to that?
I thought I explained that already. That
Yes,
people
yes.
still think of themselves not as Malaysian. They think of being Malaysian Chinese, Malaysian Malay, Malaysian Indian. And you keep on linking yourself to your country of origin. People will remember that, and people will not consider themselves fully Malaysian.
Fair
Besides
enough.
that, because there is a lot of disparity which is identified with race. You don't overcome this disparity, there will be a lot of upheavals later on. Between rich and poor, there will always be a lot of animosity. But when the rich is of one race, the poor is of another race, then the tendency for violence will be greater.
That's true. I agree with you. One final question from the audience. This gentleman is from Johor.
Assalamualaikum Tun. Saya ada dua soalan. Yang pertamanya, siapakah yang Tun lihat berpotensi untuk menggantikan Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin sebagai Perdana Menteri Malaysia? Dan yang keduanya, bagaimanakah Tun melihat masa depan Malaysia selepas Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin bersara? Sekian, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum Tun.
Answered the first one. What is the future of Malaysia? I think we can tail off this conversation. What do you see as the future? What's going to happen to us? What is going to happen to Malaysia?
The future is not going to be very good because people do not understand the workings of a democracy. In a democracy, you need to have fewer parties, not hundreds of parties. You should have actually only two parties so that one or the other can win in an election. But when you have multiple parties and they all contest, the likelihood is that no party will have a majority. Most of the parties will have a very small number of wakil rakyat, and they cannot form a government. To form a government, they will have to have a coalition. But this is a coalition after an election, and that is very bad. A coalition before an election really becomes a party because they help each other. But a coalition after the election is such that each party can destroy the coalition, if unless of course the coalition has got a big majority. But normally the biggest party during the resulting from the election have a right to form a government if they can get enough support from the other parties. So 2 or 3 other parties may join and give them more than 50% of the seats. Then they can form a coalition government. But if any one of those parties decide to withdraw, the government will collapse. So we are going to see a lot of uncertainties in the future, a lot of weak governments in the future, quite unable to rule the country. Actually, we had enjoyed a government with actually 2 parties, 2 coalitions rule Malaysia. Well, I mean, participated in Malaysian politics. One is the government coalition, the alliance, and later on Barisan Nasional. The other one is the opposition, which also form a coalition. So basically, there were 2 parties. So whoever wins takes over the government. Normally, the Barisan Nasional will win with a good majority and is able to govern well. Not in the opinion of the opposition, of course. Mr. Ramasamy will say no. But then when Pakatan Harapan won, we had a good majority. Not 2/3, but a good majority. We could have given the country a good government. But unfortunately, of course, some of our own supporters reneged on their promise. They pulled out and brought down the Pakatan Harapan. Now we are having a government with only two seats majority. And any 2% resign from that party, the government will collapse. And when the government collapses, the following government also will not have a good majority, and also it will be a very weak government. So I see a future in which Malaysia has no strong government because everybody wants to become prime minister. To become prime minister, you form a party, and then you split the electorate, and the parliament also will be full of all kinds of parties, none of which are strong enough to form a good government.
What you have just said, if I heard you correctly, is quite bleak. Because yes, back in the day there were two. There was the government coalition and the opposition coalition. Tapi you are saying now that because of the banyak kecil-kecil parties that will never have a full stronghold 2/3 majority, that this will be a constant battle of parties that don't hold the majority. Okay. Given that, how are we going to ever achieve going back to what you said earlier, a real democracy where there's 2 strong parties, an opposition and a government where they can check and balance? I personally don't think we can go back to that time because times have moved on. We've our mental understanding, our game has changed, our education has changed, is constantly changing, and now with the pandemic, everything else is changing. If you say it's very bleak because of this reason, yang banyak small coalitions yang don't hold the majority, what can happen? Can one does this government system have to change to make this work, or can one party ever come back and hold that stronghold as you mentioned to properly rule and do good for the country?
It depends upon the electorate. If the electorate wants a good government, they will choose good people, not people who give them money. A lot of people were given money to vote for certain parties, and you are sure going to get a lot of corrupt people in the government. That is number one. Number two, you should not allow this jumping from one party to the other. You jump from one party, you lose your seat.
How
You
come
see,
how come that was never implemented? Memang even as a common person like, was it ever tried to brought through parliament? Was it ever tried to make a law where you cannot jump, or you jump, you just leave the party and you get out?
before, when we had the Barisan National Government, the government was very powerful. If you jump, the government doesn't collapse. It has a two-thirds majority. If a few parties jump to the other party, they cannot get the majority because this government had a huge majority. So this has never happened that way. But when Najib took over, he destroyed the whole system, and people lost faith in UMNO itself. So they want to change UMNO, which was good and it was successful. But after that, the people they chose are not of the best quality. These people are also corrupt. So when they see an opportunity to become the government, they change party. So if you allow for changing of parties, this is what you get. So two things you have to get rid of. One is corruption. The electorate must not vote people who give them money. Very difficult because many people are poor. You give them money, they give their vote.
Dude,
But
correct me if I'm wrong. Even this has been existing since the 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, it was part of the understanding. We didn't call it corruption at the time. Bila pergi ke kampung and beli basikal ataupun bagi duit nak buat rumah ke atap, that it was just part of the way that politics was handled. We didn't term it corruption in those days.
no,
But I mean, I understand we're not talking about billions. Like in those days, we're just talking about bagi basikal or build a roof or something. But how do you get rid of corruption? Literally, how? I can't see an end to it.
you must not have corrupt leaders. Corrupt leaders must be rejected. I don't know what you think of me, but during my time, I gave nothing to the villagers. What I give is some development. Of course, they need roads. Okay, we give them roads. We provide them with electricity. We provide them with water supply. We build schools in the villages. We have clinics in the villages. These are the things that a good government must give, but not give personally to anybody. But when Najib took over, he said cash is king, and he wants to give a lot of money. And he taught these people in the villages that you can make money from politics. And now I notice that whenever we go to the villages, must carry watangan, something to give to the villagers. It has become so much of the culture that if you don't do it, you will not win. So this is the whole country has been spoiled by Najib because of his giving brim, wages, all kinds of gifts were given by Najib because he believes that cash is king. He actually believes that with the money he had stolen billions. With the money he had, he would never lose. But as it turned out, he lost because there were enough people who reject corruption.
Well, he is not on the show. I will get him on the show, and I will definitely ask him his opinion as well. But I truly agree with you that corruption really is eating away at this country. I personally feel it deep down to my heart, and I know we've taken you a lot over your time. I have my one final question that I would like to ask Tun, and this is probably the most difficult question I have to ask. Tun, have you tried Spanish fly?
I don't have a need for Spanish fly, nor do I have Spanish flu. Neither flu nor fly.
Because Malaysia 4 days ago we didn't know what is Spanish fly. Tapi hari ini Kau tanya budak-budak kampung pun dia orang tahu apa tu Spanish fly. We have a new vocabulary in our country.
For, for a doctor not to know what Spanish fly is, it's very, very strange.
Ah,
I learned about this when I was studying medicine.
oh ya
Oh,
ke?
yeah.
Tak pernah cuba ke? Eh?
Yeah, that was what they used to say. I
Is
had
it?
no need for that.
Oh!
You see?
Waktu muda, to be young again, Tun, to be young again.
Yeah.
Is Tun Dr. Sita Hasma still beside you, or is she gone off to bed already?
She's still there.
Please, I just want to say hi to her. I'm sure she. I don't know. Did she ever ask you to? Cukup lah berhenti, retire. Did she say that to you?
Mhm. Sometimes yes, but she is very supportive. She may not feel happy, but okay, I have to work, I work.
And I very much respect that as well. Dengar tu sayang? Yeah, my wife is a very supportive. Sorry. Oh, my wife has one question. What is the secret to a long marriage, a long and successful marriage?
The tolerance.
Tolerance, tolerance, baby.
Yeah.
And that is a secret to a successful country as well. In fact, I would push it a little bit further, not just tolerance, but acceptance as well. Because I truly believe that Malaysians, we need to really get past this hurdle of not just COVID-19, but of the way we have been dealing with each other in race as well. And with that, I want to say thank you so much, Tun. You have spent so much time with us and with the viewers. Terima kasih banyak-banyak. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. I'm so honored that you said yes and that you were able to do this. Before we go, is there anything you would just like to finally add before we take this off the air?
Yeah. Of course, it takes a long time to explain things which people don't understand. But also, I hope that people will be receptive to good reason and not be influenced by, some feelings that is implanted in you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tun. Terima kasih, Tun. I wish you all the best and good health as well to your wife as well. I will say good night to you now and take you off the broadcast. But my viewers, please stay because I've got some special announcements for you. Terima kasih again, Tun. Assalamualaikum sekali lagi. And thank you so much for your time. All right, everyone, that was incredibly amazing. Guys, I just want to say something. Thank you so much for being with us and thank you for sharing this broadcast. I think I have learned so much with Tun. There's been a lot of people out there who are unhappy as well. And let's be frank, unhappy with Tun as well. But I think from my personal feeling, at the end of the day, you need to respect what someone has achieved, and not everyone is perfect, but everyone tries their very best. And I believe that at the end of the day, that's what Tun does as well. Guys, you may have noticed this cup. This is from the Dome. The Dome is one of my favorite restaurants. I go there all the time used to go there all the time with my late mother. If you leave a review of this program and you hashtag what's going on Malaysia, the best 2 or 3 reviews, we will give you 100 ringgit voucher from the Dome. So please leave a review and stand a chance to win at 100 ringgit. Yes? A review. It's a review. We're going to leave a review and hashtag what's going on Malaysia. Guys, Tun Mahathir, I grew up with him. It has been my absolute honor to speak to him. I believe he spoke from the heart. Some of you may not like what he had to say, but at the end of the day, here's what I believe is important. We are allowed to disagree with each other. You may not like what someone has to say. You may not like or agree with their opinion or their point of view. But I believe you need to not just tolerate it, but accept it and find a bridge between those 2 point of views without being rude, without being aggressive, and without fighting back mindlessly. Because at the end of the day, walaupun kita berlainan pemikiran, berlainan pendapat, berlainan bangsa, berlainan agama. If we all maintain this bridge amongst each other, our country, Malaysia, can be back to what I remember it was, a true tiger in Asia. And I believe that after this COVID-19 or during this COVID-19, Malaysians should get together to really, as Tun said, just focus on the people. I am trying to do that with my NGO, the Hope Branch. Please do follow us on the Hope Branch. Out there, people are hurting. People are hurting. People are hungry. People are struggling. Thank you to everyone who has responded to the Bendera Putih, to all the NGOs, to all the individuals yang memang tolong your neighbor. It's your neighbor, it's your cousin, it's your friend, it's your family, and it's strangers. Thank you for helping Malaysians, helping each other. Rakyat untuk rakyat, kita jaga kita. With that, I want to say thank you very much for being with me. Thank you for sharing the program. Assalamualaikum, ladies and gentlemen. This has been one of the most enjoyable episodes ever, and I will see you in the next episode of What's Going on Malaysia. I'll see you guys soon. Leave a review and win a 100 ringgit voucher from the Dome. Terima kasih. This is the end of the